Hey Ty, 12345. I think so. Let's see. This timed out.
Good morning and thanks so much for watching us here on After GMS. You've got your Facebook Live open and you're already commenting on a few things. We appreciate you for being here. I'm Tracey Meghann here with Meghann and our Ed Matthews. Before we get your day started with the news and the conversations, let's start with the forecast. Ed, hello June, it's back.
Yeah, it's coming back in full force as temperatures start to really warm up, and we could be flirting with 90-degree weather by early next week and even Father's Day. But today, with the extra clouds and limited sunshine, upper 70s to near 80, a few spritz and sprinkles this morning. Most of the showers we had earlier have completely dried up, but more on the way. We get a little heating of the day. We'll see some showers and isolated storms for the afternoon and evening, and that's going to be a repeat performance on Saturday. Now, Saturday's still going to be a nice outdoor day for you. You got to keep an eye on the sky, listen out for thunder, and of course, keep an eye on the radar on your WFMY News 2 weather app, and you'll be set. You'll know when any showers are headed your way. Father's Day, much improved. Generally dry, low shower chance, but we start to really turn up the heat with the upper 80s there on Sunday, and we may touch 90 coming up early in the new week. And I think next week is going to be, got June written all over it actually. Little daytime heating will lead to those mainly pop-up afternoon and evening storms. Near 90 there Monday and Tuesday, and upper 80s there for Wednesday and Thursday.
All right, let's get to your headlines before we get to our talkers today, and we will start with this. A possible loophole in the Phase 2 reopening plan to reopen the state has allowed some gyms to reopen early to certain people. The Attorney General's office sent a letter allowing gyms to reopen to people who are prescribed exercise by a doctor. The letter says in some cases, patients can get physical therapy or exercise in a hospital or doctor's office, but if a doctor orders a patient to get exercise from a fitness center or gym, that is technically allowed under the way Phase 2 is written. There is also a bill passed by the General Assembly that would allow gyms to reopen to anyone before Phase 3. That bill still sits on Governor Cooper's desk. If he does not veto or sign it by today at 5, it will automatically go into effect. State lawmakers also passed a bill allowing bowling alleys and skating rinks to open again. That, too, is on Governor Cooper's desk. Creekside Lanes in Winston-Salem says it has some ideas if it reopens. Use every other lane, put up shields, sanitize shoes and bowling balls thoroughly. And the staff there is just waiting for the go-ahead to do all that.
Today is Juneteenth, also known as Freedom Day. It commemorates the freeing of slaves in Galveston, Texas, more than 2 years after President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation. WFMY News 2's Candace Redd explains how you can honor Juneteenth amid the COVID-19 crisis.
Today marks the 155th anniversary of Juneteenth. The Black community has been celebrating Freedom Day for years, but Juneteenth remains largely unknown to most Americans. Well, right now you're looking at video of cities and towns celebrating Juneteenth in previous years before the COVID-19 pandemic. Celebrations usually include prayer services, parades, live entertainment through song and dance, community events, and much more. Juneteenth is the oldest known commemoration of the ending of slavery in the United States. On this day in 1865, about 2,000 Union troops arrived in Galveston, Texas. Now, according to the National Museum of African American History and Culture, the Army announced that the more than 250,000 enslaved Black people in the state were freed by executive decree. The announcement came 2.5 years after President Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, which took effect January 1st of 1863. Now, fast forward to today, cities and towns are still celebrating freedom.
As a race, Black people, we are very powerful people, especially if we come together. We just want people to come out, understand the history of Black men, especially the history of Black women. They've been the backbone for a lot of things that we've done.
You just heard from one of the co-founders of One Family, One Direction. The nonprofit will be holding a Juneteenth celebration filled with free activities and entertainment right here at this park. Well, take a look at your screen because I want to make sure you have all of the details. Again, One Family, One Direction is holding a Juneteenth celebration today from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Douglas Park in Greensboro. Organizers will be following the CDC's guidelines in response to COVID-19. Now, if you can't make it to this event, the city of Greensboro is holding a virtual Juneteenth celebration today from 9 a.m. to 7:45 p.m. The virtual event will be held via Zoom and on Facebook. But for more details on this, all you have to do is visit our website. That's WFMYnews2.com.
Well, the greatest homecoming on earth is canceled, a heartbreaking decision from North Carolina A&T. More than 100,000 people from all over the country come back to campus for it, a $10 million boost to the Greensboro economy, but not this year.
People come from across the country, across the world. You know, they go shopping, they go out to restaurants to eat, they do all kinds of things.
It's been great to have it, you know, over the years, and it definitely helps our business too. So we'll miss it this year for sure.
It's great to see our Sandra Hughes again. That was popped up and I was like, oh, there's Sandra. Well, you know, she's a proud Aggie, as many are here in our city. The university is concerned about the pandemic, though, and they thought of gathering thousands into one place. They thought it risky. The homecoming game is on for Halloween. A&T expects to have reduced seating in the stands. So a lot of fall events are not happening this year due to COVID-19 concerns. And that leads us to our first conversation for today. We want to know, do you think any fall events will happen this year? We want to let you weigh in here. So while you're doing that in the comments, we want to get to some background, because homecoming is really just the latest in a growing number of big events to cancel due to the pandemic. So that means we're going to lose a lot of money on those events that they normally bring in. It started with the ACC tournament being canceled in March. Last week, the RNC announced they're moving the majority of the convention to Jacksonville, Florida, out of Charlotte. And several 4th of July events, including the Fun 4th Festival, the Uncle Sam Jam, and all the fireworks shows, will not happen this year. So a lot of you are commenting about it being canceled. We heard from Tracey Quick, who said, as an Aggie alum, this truly hurts me. However, I understand the decision and respect it. Thank you for putting our Aggie family's health and lives first. Aggie pride. Ramona writes in saying, I am not surprised. I saw this coming. Lou says, although it is a blow financially, at least it's good that they put the safety of the campus and community first. Thank you, North Carolina A&T. And we heard from one more commenter who says, if GHOE is canceled, might as well cancel the rest of the year. Wake me up in 2021. Well, as a matter of fact, a lot of people have canceled 2020. I guess that's the new way, the new generation way, guys, of saying, like, we're just done with the year. Let's just move on to the next. I had to learn what that was. I'm not sure what being canceled meant. So I'm on it now. But guys, as we think about all the events that we lost from ACC and the NCAA tournament, which was supposed to be huge for our community, to now homecoming in October, kind of makes you wonder, you know, like, what's next and what do state health leaders know that we don't know yet, you know? Meg, what do you think?
Yeah, you know, I think we're going to have to continue looking at the numbers. There's a lot of talk about this possible second wave, but we're not even out of this first wave yet. North Carolina is seeing daily cases continue to go up as testing does increase, to be clear, and there are also 2/3 of all cases have thankfully been recoveries, but the number of hospitalizations have gone up in recent days, hitting record highs the past 3 days. So we're really going to have to use this data and put it in context and make sure that we're following the guidance before we decide if we're going to put ourselves and our families in these situations, even if certain venues and certain activities do happen according to plan. As far as sports, I know that the Triple Crown races have been kind of up in the air. The horse races, of course, that are the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont. The Belmont is happening this weekend in New York without fans in the stands. And then the races, then other two are out of order, with the Derby happening in the fall and the Preakness happening in the fall. So obviously some things are happening just a little differently, but going on as scheduled. So we'll have to see what North Carolina has in store this fall.
Yeah, Ed Matthews, you usually talk with your heart first.
Oh, yeah.
And so what is your heart telling you?
Well, I tell you, I'm really sad when I hear all these big events are being canceled. The one that hit me the strongest was our Fun 4th celebration in downtown Greensboro, which is always a lot of fun. And then yesterday, of course, hearing about the homecoming for the Aggies and also Winston-Salem State. And it's just sad, not only for the players, but, you know, for the, the thousands and thousands of fans that come and just get out and have a great time at all of the activities, not only the football game, but all the other activities that go on in our community where, alumni can get together and fellowship with each other. And it's just a good time. And when we have good times in our society, it helps to kind of curb the stress that we're going through. I'm hoping someday we can get back to where we're having these big events again, but I tell you what, the future looking into the fall may not be so bright, considering that we're seeing an increase in the number of virus cases being reported on a daily basis. I'm beginning to wonder if we're going to have any events at all for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and as I was looking through the Facebook comments, a lot of people were starting to ask about Lexington Barbecue Festival, which usually happens around homecoming time for North Carolina A&T. I don't know why those two events always happen on the same weekend, but they were also asking about furniture market and the state fairs, and it's that time of year where you start to bring in autumn, so you start to do those hay rides and those pumpkin patches. What's going to happen? The answer is we don't know yet. Some of those organizations are kind of waiting to see how we go through Labor Day in terms of the numbers. A&T and Winston-Salem State making decisions really early on in June, months out from October, I guess, so people can get their plans in line. So we are hearing from you here on our Facebook live stream. Let's see, Sharia says it's sad, but safety first. Angie Lyons, or Lyons Angie, says that she's definitely going to miss North Carolina A&T's homecoming. Jason says they could still have the 4th of July fireworks, just do them where people stay in their cars and use common sense. I could have seen that. And then people are talking about, football and whether or not we should even be in the stands at all as we go forward. And a lot of people are talking about like the protests. Stephanie Mitchell says, please explain how we can have all the protests but cancel all the events. I mean, these are fair questions. And unfortunately, the three of us are like 0 on the rocket scientist scale here. So, unfortunately, we don't have the answers. But as Meghann said, the numbers will dictate where the state decides to go. And so, Meghann, when you were looking at this latest curve, you did mention that it was still kind of in that 7 to 10%, but that it was going up, right?
Yeah, so 9% of cases as of yesterday's statewide update were positive per the number of tests that were conducted. It was 8% the day prior, so not a huge fluctuation, but I'm interested to see what that percentage is today. Again, this is the percentage of the tests being taken that are coming back positive. That doesn't necessarily mean, though, that all of those people have symptoms, and that's where you get into the tricky side of calculating and analyzing these numbers. But a lot of people, Tracey, in our comments mentioned sports happening this fall. So let's jump into our second talker. It is about sports and sports practices resuming. Guilford County Schools plans to reopen high school sports and marching band training on July 6th, as do a number of other districts. What do you think about bringing practices back in July? Is it too early? Do you think it's about time, or should fall sports be canceled this year too? Weigh in on these comments. A lot of you are already doing that. Let me give you some more context here. GCS will require participants to sign waivers attesting to their health status and will receive a health screening and temperature check prior to each day's activities. They'll have several restrictions in place. A few of them are only outdoor practices and activities allowed. Weight rooms, mat rooms, and locker rooms will remain closed. Gatherings in outside areas are limited to no more than 25 people, and spectators will not be allowed. Getting some comments here on the WFMY Facebook feed. We heard from KD, who said at some point we just have to be careful. Having these kids being stuck in the house, not being able to enjoy football, etc., is disheartening. There are measures to be taken to ensure people are not at risk of COVID-19. Candy, though, says we're canceling homecomings that would normally take place in the fall. Why would it make sense to still have band practice and training for the next few months? That's not putting kids' safety first. So Ed Matthews, I want to start with you in this conversation because I know your nephew is a collegiate athlete.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about the potential of these practices resuming so soon?
Well, again, I'm looking at the data, and that's what we're really going to have to do moving forward right on through the fall and really through the rest of the year. And the data, as you have been reporting every morning on the Good Morning Show, points to an increase in the number of virus cases. And that makes me think, and I tell you what, my thoughts and prayers go out to the people that have to make all of these tough decisions about whether to have these events or have practice or not. I would say right now, July, maybe a bit too soon, and then we just kind of watch things as we go on into August and September, and I say that with a heavy heart because I know these kids want to get out, they want to play, they love what they do, they love the competition, and it's an important part of their lives. Just like academics are very important as well, that social outlet and that athletic outlet for them is quite important and a very important part of their lives.
It's important, and they certainly miss it. They've now gone, probably the better part of 6 months without any type of, real social activity, with their teams and sports. And I'm sure that they want to get back on the field or the court or whatever that they have to do, but the priority is safety. And as a parent, I certainly don't want, my children to miss out on things, but at the same time, I don't want them to unnecessarily contract a potentially deadly disease either. So you kind of have to weigh things, and you have to weigh them responsibly. And as in the end, even though practices are going forward in July, I mean, as a parent, you have the right to make your child sit out for a while and say, I'm not ready for you to go back if you're not comfortable with it. And if you are, then you allow them to go back. But as the parent, you have the final say. So I think that's where it falls on that personal responsibility. So Meghann, did you want to get through some of the comments? I know that you brought this conversation to light.
Yeah. So we are still hearing from a lot of you. Tamika said it's much too soon. Juan said going to be kind of an inconvenience for sports to happen with locker rooms closed. That's a valid point. There are some logistics to be worked out with this, I'm sure, and these school districts are going to try to figure out. Also, I'm wondering about the face masks or face shield helmet situation. How are these viruses transmitted outside when you have bodily fluids like sweat being a factor in athletic practices, football, the tackling? Is that a concern? We've not heard much about that from health officials as well. But, then we heard the other side of this from Kimberly, who said, let's just move on. Keep people who are vulnerable quarantined. So continue to weigh in on this. Obviously, we will do our part to keep you updated as districts and athletic associations and, of course, state health leaders make decisions.
All right, so one decision that's a little easier to make is the forecast, Ed Matthews, especially these days. Not too many changes.
Yeah, good or bad, we always have weather. It's been kind of crazy as well so far this year. The tropics have been active, although they're not now, thankfully. But a little activity today, some scattered showers and some isolated thunderstorms. We get a little daytime heating. We're on our way to the upper 70s to near 80. Maybe a little sunshine, but not much in the way of sunshine today. And then another round of scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms on Saturday. Again, today and tomorrow, not a complete washout. You'll be able to get in some outdoor time in between those scattered showers. Father's Day, thankfully, looking a lot better. Sun and clouds, low shower chance as we crank up the heat even more. We're into the upper 80s, 87 the high on Father's Day. And then as we head into next week, we could touch 90 degrees here in the Piedmont Monday or Tuesday. And you get that kind of heating in the afternoon, and that'll lead to those very random and widely scattered pop-up showers and storms. And I think that's going to be pretty much the deal as we go through Monday, Tuesday on into Wednesday and Thursday. And you see those temperatures, yeah. June weather coming back in full force to the Piedmont.
Oh yeah, finally feeling like summer in North Carolina. We'll be sweating it out pretty soon. Hey, we want to thank everybody for joining us here on After GMS. We do this every weekday at 7:45. So much fun to chat with you in a little more of a relaxed setting and get to share a lot of your comments and opinions on our hot topics. Of course, we also had some reasons to smile and laugh this week. A lot of times we just laugh at ourselves. So this is the best of GMS. Have a great weekend.
I got to tell you, I turned the heat on last night. I don't know about y'all, but 50's too cold for me.
Especially in June. 50s in January is hot. 50s in June is just downright chilly.
Right. Not expected or appreciated,
No.
Christian.
I'm sorry.
What was your GPA in high school?
Definitely wasn't a 4.0. Well, certainly was not studying as much as I probably should have.
Were you distracted by science, Taran? I mean, what could you have been distracted by?
Yeah, let's call it science.
Science.
Yes, definitely science.
I graduated from high school with like a 3.75. Not that 4.0, but I too was distracted by science, Taran.
You know how science is science. You can't stop it.
When I was pregnant and I could eat anything I wanted to, and nobody looked at me, nobody said anything. I just ate as I wanted, and it was literally my favorite time. All right, guys, the big story today, the drop in humidity. It's like we're saying goodbye to it like we would say bye to Felicia.
Yes.
You know, every time I go through the self-checkout, I do something wrong. You know, I don't know the code for a vegetable or some type of fruit. I'm not weighing it right. I will tie that line up for 30 minutes. And I don't want to do that to anyone. And I don't want anybody to hold it against me like, oh, that news lady, man, she was in line
Look
forever.
at that Tracey McCain. Why is she so slow?
Exactly.
I'm just teasing.
You get so excited when you say upper 80s.
Yay!
Oh, he's jumping. It's going down.
You wait until the sun comes out. I'm going to be doing a dance out here in the garden.
Instead of a rain dance, he's doing a sun dance. I love it.